Yeah.
Hello, everyone. It's Saturday, July 17th. I'm your host, Ian. This is Disassembled. Massimo's here.
Hey everyone!
Ben
It's
is
warm.
here.
Hello there.
Yes, it's warm.
Hmm.
For you. For
All
you.
over the world.
No, every time.
You always do it. You always do it.
Look, we'll get it in eventually. It's fine.
It's
Don't worry about
okay. No, it's there. There's a little infinity sign next to the things on the soundboard.
Just a
If
loop, yeah.
If I'm pressed the wrong, I think it is. I'm gonna fix this right now. Okay.
Behind the curtain.
There's going to be no way to know if that worked until next time we do this because I'm not going to play that again. It's warm in Scotland, balmy
it's warm.
30 degrees Celsius, but not here in Washington State where it is only 16. Half that temperature? I don't know how weather math works.
Do you mean it's 16 in Fahrenheit or
No,
Celsius?
it's at
No,
Jesus,
no,
60
he
in the
just
middle
said-
of God. What is this, Australia? No, it's 16. I was trying to accommodate to your wacky 100-point scale.
Fix your system.
Fix your system. Anyways, let's talk about miles and gallons, quarts.
Speaking of getting hot,
Hot
let's talk about Star
topics. All right, fine. Let's talk about Star Wars. So this week we're finishing up the ranking of Star Wars with the I don't know if maligned is the right word entirely, but the controversial sequel trilogy, consisting of The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi. Spoiler, she's not the last Jedi. And The Rise of Skywalker. That title makes no sense.
I was going to say, all of those films, and I mean, I've seen this so many times now, they all would make sense if they got assigned to other films in the series.
They all would make sense if, like, I don't know, one creative vision had fueled that entire trilogy instead of just you can't.
Man.
Boys, mistakes were made over the past 6 years. One of the biggest mistakes was, what if the guy that is engineering the whole thing didn't do the middle chapter?
Exactly.
What
Just
if
terrible.
what if we had Quentin Tarantino make Return of the Empire Strikes Back instead of George Lucas, and then George Lucas was like, yes, Return of the Empire of the Jedi, and then George Lucas comes back
Return
and
of
is
the
like,
Bastards.
Return of the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Too fast.
I don't like how he subverted your expectations. What am I gonna do to fix this?
So here's the thing, right? Ben, I think you
Tell
played
me
this
the
last
thing.
week. I don't remember if this was
as
off.
you swill your
air.
mulled wine.
Exactly, with my mulled wine. My mulled wine in a water bottle. What it was is you pointed out that the first three Star Wars, the original trilogy, were all directed by three different people, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's what you pointed out. But at the same time, they were still overseen by Lucas.
Yes, aye.
So this is what Disney should have done with these films: is you can have three separate films directed by three separate people, but if you have the one guy, as you said, who has the overall vision, oversee it, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Granted, J.J. Abrams has a history of not sticking the landing with his projects, but
It's a mixed bag.
if they had kept him in a supervisory role for all three films, at least we would have a continuous through line
Cohesive
instead
story
of
and something like that.
a second film that feels interesting and a third film that spends most of its time giving the second film the finger.
It's also
Completely right.
I'd say the second thing that the second film also gives the
Second
first film
finger,
the finger.
yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just double birds after the first film.
I mean, okay.
The whole trilogy is every film looks at the last film and goes, "No, fuck you."
What's I think great about this as well is it's completely stopped any sort of continuation of that period of time in the Star Wars universe.
Mhm.
All of the new media is going back to the period between the prequels and the original trilogy.
Yeah, because
Be like,
everyone is like, "Oh, you fucked it up."
we
Great.
don't talk about the far future. We focus on what's going on in between the really okay films and the great
Well,
films.
Do you remember? Really, okay is generous. Do you remember there was a news story earlier this year, I think, where there was a rumor that Disney Plus was just gonna redo the sequels
Oh, the
whole
cut.
cloth,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
just
man. Really?
completely redo them.
Was it going to be the Ryan Johnson cut or the J.J. Abrams cut? It
I
kind of came about because of the
assume
Snyder cut.
I assume Abrams.
Who wrote? There was a script treatment that got released, wasn't there? And I remember that the guys over at the Weekly Planet did a caravan of garbage on it, and it was the original script for the last film.
Right, the original Last Jedi
Yeah.
script when Colin Trevorrow was going
And
to
it was
direct
it was a lot better than what we, in my opinion, it was a step up. I don't know if it would have translated well, but it seemed like it was good. And I feel like we're in that era, we're in that age of people don't really care that much about a material being recut or remade as long as it's maybe better.
I mean,
So,
that is really the thing. Is I just want good movies.
yeah.
I'm not too concerned with like I'm not gonna, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna fight anyone over like what version of Blade Runner you should watch. Watch the best
Obviously, the
version.
director's-
Yeah, I mean Final Cut, but sure.
That's
I don't even know the differences anymore. Like, I'm pretty sure I've
not.
seen all the different cuts and I can't tell the difference.
Does Harrison Ford do bad voiceover or not?
Does he die? Does she die at the end? Or
And
do
what?
they escape in the
Oh,
car?
in the way I've seen it mostly, she survives and they run away.
Yeah, but there's no weird car scene at the end where they're driving through the country.
No,
As
Just,
long as you don't have Harrison Ford giving stilted narrative, it's a good version.
oh,
A
okay.
good version.
Does it give like a closing kind of noir narrative?
Speaking of
No, it gets
Harrison-
throughout. The theatrical version of Blade Runner had him narrating it throughout the
Yeah.
whole movie, like holding your hand through the story. And Harrison Ford is just phoning it in the worst way, because even he was like, well, this is stupid. This is
why
a dumb
would we?
idea.
He's got a very mumbly voice as well, so it would have been really awkward.
Get off my plane. Get off my spaceship.
Is that your Harrison Ford having a stroke? Like,
Yeah, I mean, he is like 80.
Yeah, aye.
Injures
speaking of
himself on
Har-
every goddamn film these days. Like,
Speaking
stop
of
letting
Harrison
this dude
Ford-
do action scenes.
He
That's
does it
what
on
I was going to
purpose.
say was in the way that he phones in. The man is in his 80s and it gets crushed by a door on the regular.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's phoning it in on life, to be honest. He's just kind of
Get off my bank account.
honestly, I think there was
like, I thought I'd join in, slip under the that didn't really work.
I remember, see when this new
You're
batch
like
of films
you're
was
like a
coming
Scottish man trying to do an American man trying to do Harrison Ford.
out.
Yes.
This is
Sorry,
a fun bit on
Ben. You
Harrison
keep
Ford.
saying you keep trying to say words, and we're just over
I
here
know.
fucking around.
God damn. Yeah. Before the films were
So
coming
anyway,
out, I exit. I think Harrison Ford was on Conan or something at the time to kind of advertise the film, but you know what he's like. He just
I've
doesn't
seen
really
that
care. And he does, like, Conan does a thing like, official here, I'm going to give you this like $100 bill if you tell me something about Star Wars coming out. And the crowd's going nuts, like, oh my god, we're going to get something here. And he takes it, and the crowd goes like, they'll hush, and he just goes, I hear they're making a new one. This is like,
I don't remember that.
That's awesome. Oh,
That was a
well
great
done.
moment. Harrison Ford has never given a shit, and I respect it
Some
tremendously.
of the only interview I've seen him genuinely excited for was an interview he did for Blade Runner 2099.
Was that the Good Morning Britain one?
No, there was a Graham Norton show one, which him and Ryan Gosling,
Yeah,
and it's some of the
fun.
funniest shit I've ever seen in my life because he's actually enjoying himself.
He did another one with Good Morning Britain with one of the more entertaining kind of interviewers, and like he's pissing himself laughing throughout it with Ryan Gosling and her. It's so much.
I just want to point out, I think you're confusing Blade Runner 2049 with Spider-Man 2099.
Oh fuck yeah! So yeah. Shut up! I got the dates wrong. Don't worry about it.
It's just
I didn't even catch it.
It's fictional dystopia 20XX.
Yeah.
I know. It's the sequel to the original Blade Runner. Whatever.
Yes.
It's Blade Runner 2 Electric Boogaloo. No.
Blade Runner
no.
2. This time we're running blades more.
Blades are
Blade
being
Runner.
Runner.
Blade Sprinter.
Blade Dancer.
That's the upcoming Highlander theme song.
That's the musical adaptation of it.
That does sound like it would be a Highlander Blade Dancer. Like that would be a bad direct to VHS movie in the
Of the
90s.
7 fucking direct to VHS sequels
Right.
they had for that film.
So
Anyway,
guys,
let's get off the Highlander
Oh, yeah.
before we spend another fucking 40 minutes talking about it on another episode.
as Tom Hardy's Bane would say, I was already a man the first time I saw the sequel trilogy.
Didn't even do
But
the
you
voice.
guys were little teenagers when The Force Awakens came out.
Yeah, I took the day off school.
What was your experience with The Force Awakens in contrast to how relatively fresh Star Wars as a whole must kind of have still been to you?
I think I was in college.
Were you like?
Yeah, I was in college.
I thought you were younger than because Massimo's 20. Of course, you can't be younger than that.
I'm 24, so I was in college at the time.
Okay, well,
You would have been
then,
that. Yeah, you wouldn't have been that.
then
much
my
older.
whole point is
No, but college you would have been like 16, 17, right?
Just like 2015. Yeah, aye, first year
Yeah.
of college.
So still like high schooler age. Like yeah. So it's not like.
But I was the punk dropout.
Of course.
I moved on now.
No, I was probably in like second year of school. Which for like what? When did Dragons?
2015.
December 2015.
Oh man, yeah, no, I was straight up just first year of high school.
You were a
nice.
wee babby.
Oh, straight up, it was like 12.
That'd be nice.
You were a wee babby with a backpack full of wine.
He had a Force Awakens lunchbox.
I was awakened to the Force through that film. No,
It awakened something in me.
No, I had the Force Awakens pencil case.
And
No.
The Force Awakens.
And I had that until I was like 16, I think.
You're cool.
Coolest kid in school.
That's what you're trying to
So
say. You're cool, yeah.
So cool.
Anyway, yeah. So what was your you took a day off of school for it?
I took a day off school to go see it, and it was at the
Good
it was at an IMAX cinema.
Hmm.
And I went with my mum and I went with my uncle because my uncle is the biggest Star Wars fan ever, and he had a bunch of he gave it to me, but I don't know where they are at the moment. I think they're at my mum. They are they released a bunch of promotional stuff where it was the stuff in binders,
Mhm.
the collectible books that explain like a bunch of characters through canon and stuff like that. And there's like 3 big fucking binders that have like all through the Star Wars canon and stuff.
And then he spent the whole time throwing beer at the screen.
No, he enjoyed Force Awakens because it is that, and I will always say as well. I think I've got my list of stuff that like I liked about the film is it is a very nostalgic film. Definitely harks back to the original trilogy in some way, which is a good thing and a bad thing because the film relies so much on nostalgia at some points that it does when you go back on subsequent rewatches. You realize
Yeah, when you come out of when you're in the cinema watching it, you're like, "That's totally wicked." Oh my god!
oh my
Yeah, then
God.
you think
you
about
come-
it.
you come
you're
out of it
like,
and you go like,
"This is
eh."
this literally just followed every beat of A New Hope."
Yeah.
Oh, BB-8 is so good. Give a thumbs up with a lighter. Oh, it's so good.
I like the part where it found the lightsaber and
That's-
the lasers.
That's the voice I was looking for. I can't do it. My voice is too low for it.
No,
Yeah.
but
You just gotta believe in yourself.
I think honestly, as a competent, like as a direct sequel to the original trilogy, Force Awakens is great. It
Yeah.
hits all the right
Great.
beats, is like nostalgia stuff, and it definitely relies a lot more on it's a lot funnier, like it's a lot intentionally funnier. Like
It has that Marvel kind of humor to it, but not.
it feels
it's
like-
not totally overbearing yet.
Exactly, it's taken completely by. You can definitely see the Disney's fingerprints all
Yes,
over
it is Disney's Star Wars.
which was at the time a great thing because it meant that the films were going to get multi-million-dollar budgets and
At
were hopefully
the
gonna-
time.
at the time. I mean, even now though, I still stand by it. Some of the decisions that Disney have made for Star Wars have been great, and some of them have not been so good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's kind of been the
yeah.
whole stick with Disney. It's almost like the stuff they've adapted from other companies. They've done some really good stuff with, but it's their own stuff that they're re-releasing is just awful.
Yeah,
Or try to expand on their own stuff. It's like, so
Let's make a live action remake of everything.
no, I
Yeah.
just
Fun.
think it had so much promise. You know, great reintroduction to the universe. I thought the original 3, the 3 new ones, you know, Poe, Finn, and Rey were all fantastic in that first
Yeah.
film. I think they're
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
good. It's such like
really
a
good actors.
yeah, phenomenal actors, and because they've been given a good script to work with. John Boyega especially as well, even though he isn't the main character, it's like the first like stormtrooper to turn, basically, or one of the first stormtroopers. Even
The first one on screen, let's
Yeah.
say. The first one on celluloid.
insane on
They
the
took
silver
like
screen.
they took
Or
like a whole
on
Save
a
It Private
big
Ryan
ass
like directed
USB
also.
drive.
Yeah, exactly. I just think as well. It works. It works so well. And they obviously merchandising BB-8's fucking great. People love them. And the First Order is basically the Empire, but more fascists, which arguably suits the time period the film was released in, which is a massive period of
More
political
personality
turmoil.
as well. This First Order. They said like we are the fun Empire. We'll let you have a bit of a personality this time.
Fun,
Yeah.
fun
We
and fascism.
we have characters. Yeah.
They both start with F.
Yes, fun and fascism. But then that's like you say we have characters, we have different characters. That's where they fall down because fucking Donald Gleason is Hux and Captain Phasma, two of who is played by Gwendolyn Christie. Both phenomenal villains that should have had more screen time.
They are the Darth Mauls
See
of
the-
this trilogy.
See the whole Donald Gleason's big speech scene is like
Yeah.
I think his energy like fueled that Starkiller base attack. Like that is
Oh, yeah.
all like
Oh, yeah.
he's plugged into the main power source of that and just went
Yeah.
nuts, and that's what happened.
And then
It's so
you have
powerful.
Captain
Oh.
Phasma who's set up to be this big villain, and then she just gets shoved into a
Yeah.
trash compactor.
Yeah.
Well, and like you've
Now,
got
she'll be
you got-
back.
You got three. Well, yeah, she comes back briefly and then just
gets
gets her
killed
shit
with-
kicked in again.
But that's we'll come back
it's-
to
which is
that because
missing-
a lot of the issues is it's in the other films, and
Yeah, because we're missing where a central middle part of that arc should be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say, which is always the best thing for a podcast.
I'll give you some time to talk about it.
There were three very good central heroes in this film. There were three very good central villains. We've obviously, we've got Phasma and Gleason as Hux, but we've also got the debut of Adam Driver as
Who's one of my favorite actors now.
the wayward Skywalker / Solo son, echoing pieces of the now non-canon expanded universe. And I was dialed into that from the very beginning intro scene of that movie where he stops a laser blast with the Force in midair.
Oh man. And then
Shouldn't be possible. That's not how light works.
But and then I think even it works is the follow up to that is when fucking Poe makes a joke.
Yes.
And you're like, he is our Han Solo.
Here we
type.
go.
I-
The whole
I
intro
liked it, though. I
sequence was
thought it was
perfect.
great.
I loved the intro. Unfortunately, they tried to do the same sort of goofy gimmick in is it The Last Jedi? They start with the
they're throwing away the
basically your
lightsaber.
mom joke.
No,
I can't even remember that.
the Last
They
Jedi
just-
starts with they throw away the lightsaber at the start. Like
So
Luke
is
just
it-
hucks it over his shoulder.
Is it
for
Rise
no
of
reason.
Skywalker that starts with the bombing run?
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh.
No.
Yeah.
Why is this guy? No, does it? No, I thought
Yeah.
Last Jedi started with a bombing run.
No.
No, it has the bombing run in it, right?
Damn it.
Because that's where we get introduced to Rose.
This is what
Yeah,
happens
'cause
when
her
you
sister
don't watch
dies.
a
My
film.
sister dies in the bombing run, yeah. So Last Jedi does have it, but it's they have two opens basically. They have a
Yeah.
double
Yeah.
open because they have to open
That's
up
another
on
issue
Rey.
as well.
Yeah, they have two opens, so the film basically starts twice.
Yeah.
Mhm. Let's kind of go back to Force
Um,
Awakens. Though. Just we'll come back to that.
Sorry, yeah.
So, yeah, like I think I seen this film twice in the cinemas when it came out. First night I seen it. I think I seen it with my dad. Just he's he's not the biggest Star Wars nerd, but he's a nerd, and I seeing the Star Wars film again in the cinemas, and for it to be so good, I loved it.
The last film I'd seen,
Regardless of what you think of it in hindsight, being in the cinema at that moment for crowded
fantastic.
cinema,
especially that
Oh.
open scene with the Star Destroyer,
it's like,
it just eclipses the.
Yeah.
I seen that in IMAX, man.
yeah.
Fully across the screen, it was great.
Yeah.
It's a
That is-
film. It's good. It's great. It just opens very well.
That is a good point. As the kind of opening salvo of what would become the barrage of new Star Wars Disney content. At the time, we had not had a new piece of official kind of like Star Wars on the screen media since Revenge of the Sith. So that was we're looking at a decade
That's like a whole new generation.
drought there, and that was extremely exciting at the time. I mean, I remember seeing the first couple of trailers for Force Awakens and having a big, stupid, dumb grin on my face the whole time.
Yeah,
Right.
It's good to see him happy.
The last time I'd seen
the last time I smiled
in Star Wars. The first thing I'd seen
at anything.
It's all been downhill.
Yeah. Continue.
No!
Oh, look what you've done.
We've done. The last thing I'd seen in cinemas for Star Wars was the the 3D re-release of Phantom Menace.
That
Yes,
was
the Frats
was
of
literally the
Menace
first
were a
thing I
bunch of
seen
frat
from Star
boys
Wars.
in the Star Wars college.
Phantom Menace. Yeah, no,
Run 'em
the Phantom Menace 3D re-release that came out.
That was
And,
literally that was literally my introduction to Star Wars.
Yeah, because
That was the
they
first
came out
thing
and
I'd ever seen. Yeah.
weird, some weird, like it's so weird to think of it. Like, why?
Mm.
I was gonna say I actually wrote when I was in school, probably my third or fourth year. So when I was kind of formative years, I wrote
When
an
I was a wee lad,
wee laddie in Scotland.
drinking my wine.
Drinking my wine in my iron brew.
Excuse me, I think you mean Brew.
Yeah, sorry, Ian's got you there, Mass.
He's got my high hands. He's correct my pronunciation.
I'm cultured.
He's a cultured American. I actually wrote an essay about the cinematography of the Force Awakens.
Oh, nice.
About the shots when I was like fucking 14, 15, so it was like 2 years after the film
You
came
were
out.
pretentious.
I was, wasn't I?
This movie was really pretty.
Really?
I like the part when spaceships.
Lens flares are so cool.
I like
Jesus,
to think it was like a true actual review of the film, like totally professional.
I mean, I'll see if I can dig it out.
Yeah.
Probably like
Post up
on
on
two
the
high.
site.
Dig it out. It's framed. Don't you lie to me. It's framed.
It's in the back somewhere.
Yeah.
Take it down every podcast.
It's in my drawer. It just takes it right out.
It's like the briefcase from Pulp Fiction. No, I think the more we talk about this film, the more we realize how bad the other ones are. And I feel like I think I could probably say with this, without being too controversial, is probably the best one out of all of the sequel trilogy, and probably for all of us ranks the top spot.
I mean, yeah, we all
Just
knew
overall.
Yeah,
I
It
was
just
going
works.
to actually for real lose my shit if one of you put either of the other two films above Force Awakens, and we were going to have an actual fight.
Yeah.
Like I was going to fly to Scotland
Yeah,
and
Discord.
fight you with fists.
Exactly. American
Smash
Jam.
out the screen. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, just like we're going to talk about the two films anyway. But with Force Awakens, it was a nostalgia trip that we needed, and I think that wholly eclipsed any kind of critique of it. But even then, the film doesn't like have that much wrong with it either. It's just like it's Star Wars and it's what we love. So it's like
It definitely
we're
is.
happy
Literally,
there.
the worst thing you can say about the Force Awakens is it's a retread of A New Hope,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
fine.
But that's not a bad thing. Like it's just it's
Obviously,
that
all the-
thing that we used to love.
Exactly. And all the reintroductions of all the old characters is great. The reintroduction of Han Solo I
Yeah.
love that. It was great, fantastic. Reintroduction of Leia as well.
Did they spoil that in the trailer though? Did they show Han Solo?
Yeah, yeah. 'cause
Yeah, that
door
was the
comes
big
up and-
moment. Was him being like, "We're home, Chewie.
Kind of
Hand me my once a day for men.
Imagine if they didn't
Close
show
the
that in the trailers.
door.
Though.
Were you born in a barn?"
I mean, Han Solo's death, still, spoilers, still massively impactful of the rest of the Star Wars universe. And
See, in
And
hindsight,
led
I'm
to
kind
the
of
only moment
kinda
in
like,
Rise
why-
of Skywalker that I actually like.
Oh yeah, like that got a tear.
yeah.
That was a tearjerker for me.
that was tearjerker,
Yeah.
was really.
But it's weird. It's weird. See, kind of revisiting Force Awakens for this. I'm surprised in hindsight that a lot of us didn't see the Han Solo thing coming, especially within the moment. I remember he'd be like, "No, I think he's going to survive. He's going to be fine. They're going to get together." Like then that happens, and like everyone in the cinema was so shocked.
I think
In hindsight,
we're
I'm kind of like, "Why?" It's so.
Like we're
like,
so
obvious
used to
now.
though watching characters now be killed off. Like we've
Yeah,
seen Endgame and we've seen stuff
Oh,
like
of
Game of
course,
Thrones
aye.
and all that kind of stuff. Where in hindsight, like, oh, of course they're going to kill him off. It
Mhm.
makes sense. But at the time, you normally won't kill off the lead of your franchise.
Yeah,
Right.
I guess that was kind of the buffer.
Well, I mean, Han Solo wasn't exactly the lead. I mean, he just kind of existed to shepherd these new characters into their roles and then get fucking killed.
Yeah, true. I guess the
What was-
previous lead then.
What was your guys' reaction to? They have like a giant. I'm not going to remember the planets and stuff. They have a giant fight in a kind of forest area, and like a kind of crumbled down, in a decrepit
Wasn't
Oh,
that?
this is
wee
Wasn't that?
section. Right?
Are you talking about at
Can
the
you-
end of the film or like midway through?
I think midway through.
it's
Somewhat.
when they're on
It's the
Maz
trait.
Kanata stuff?
It's
the traitor scene.
it's the stand-in cantina scene.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, stuff
the traitor scene. That's
Yeah,
what
the
I'm
stuff,
kind of
the
leading
stuff
to.
with
Is
the
it?
the
Yeah.
X-wings flying overhead and stuff like that, and then
Aye.
Finn goes, "Oh, that's one hell of an X-wing pilot." It's fucking
Yeah, yeah.
pulling the thing, that kind of
What was your reaction to the stormtrooper with the big baton?
I thought that was cool.
cool.
I,
yeah,
I,
liked
lost, I
it.
lost my shit at it, and that was like my favorite thing for months.
yeah,
that was
because
pretty neat.
TR8.
we rarely ever see at that moment. We rarely ever saw stormtroopers that weren't just guys in white suits who would just get sliced up.
So
Like,
much so,
outside
that,
of-
like,
Yeah.
it was so impactful. Like, the actor gave him like a backstory, and there's like
Yeah.
I think there's like a comic actually that explains Finn and TR8 are. Which I love
Yeah,
that.
of course there
that's
is
good marketing.
because
yeah,
Disney
yeah. I'm not.
Sell more toys.
merchandise
for
the
that,
hell out
yeah.
of
I
everything.
want it.
So yeah, I think
Give me
we've
that.
spent
Give
enough.
me that Disney Plus series.
I think we spent enough time gushing over.
I don't,
The Force
I don't
Awakens.
want to stop.
I
'cause now
know,
need to
I
talk about
know.
these two.
We spent like 30 minutes, 35 minutes
I get
talking about
so
it
angry.
because yeah, there's such look.
All right, guys, let's talk
Uh,
about the most conflicted feelings I've ever had after a movie.
Everyone
God.
take a shot.
Some wine.
Okay.
So, something happened between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. The original plan, they were gonna do. J.J. Abrams did the first one. This guy named Ryan Johnson does the second one. Colin Trevorrow comes in to finish off the trilogy. Ryan Johnson came in and he said, "Oh, you think we redid New Hope? You think we're just gonna redo the best movie in the series with Empire? Nah, son. We're gonna do everything that you don't expect because we're gonna subvert your expectations."
I hate it.
Which apparently means
Yeah.
make a shitty movie.
Yeah. Not even like see from like
Okay.
visually the film is phenomenal and it has
Yeah,
some of the
so-
best and most iconic scenes of Star Wars.
I think we
But
should
it's the rating
talk
that's
about
really
the,
bad.
I think we talk about the good bits of the film before we
Yes.
completely decimate it.
So I think this is why I think this is where The Last Jedi is actually going to come in.
Oh,
Excuse me.
so quick on that mute button.
The Last Jedi, The Last Jedi I think is actually going to come in above Rise of Skywalker for me on the rankings.
Maybe.
It does a lot of stuff I don't necessarily like. Its portrayal of Luke Skywalker as a kind of
Grumpy old
cowardly, curmudgeonly hermit that ran away from his responsibility is controversial.
it's the antithesis to every single thing we've seen about him in every other in every comic and every expanded universe thing, even in the fucking Mandalorian, for Christ's sake.
But at the same time, the way I look at that is like, I always thought Luke Skywalker was super fucking as a character. I always thought he's the good guy. He has never been the most compelling part of Star Wars for me. I think he's kind of a whiny little bitch a lot of times.
Yes.
So seeing them take him down this path is almost like Dark Knight Returns path, where like, yeah, he thought he was hot shit and the big hero for a long time, and then he failed tremendously and it broke him. I actually thought it was kind of an interesting premise.
I just think it was probably very executed, like not to the way it should have been.
Yeah, I mean there were definitely some issues there, and that could have been done better. But the idea of it, I could get behind. The way he kind of eventually goes out at the end of the film, I wish they had done a little differently, but I still thought it was kind of cool.
Visually, it's like awesome.
Oh, yeah.
My biggest problem with The Last Jedi is the entire middle bit with the stupid casino
Yeah.
thing, and
We
it's
talked-
just there's just
We talked about it last week. didn't
we
Where
swing hard into prequel territory with that.
We talked about it last week where we kind of established the idea that you can do good heist scenes in Star Wars. You can make them impactful. You can make them good. You can make them interesting.
This is not that.
and it's not that. It's the opposite of that. It's just they land on the planet.
Before we get back into it, because that is going back into bad territory. Back to the good territory very quickly.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park lady doing the hyperspeed through the ship.
Oh man, so good.
Legitimately, the whole cinema went silent, and just like, but I heard like 4 or 5 people around me go, "Shit."
That was cool.
Because like the thing they do, they completely mute the noise.
They do a similar thing in Rise of Skywalker. Skywalker. But like, and like, what I've kind of taken from it is, if you want to make a really like holy shit moment in a big action movie, just do horrible sound quality for a minute with nothing else behind it. Like, and apparently that makes like a really great scene, or no sound at all. But we'll get back to that with Rise of Skywalker. Squidwalker
would make sense because you wouldn't hear that in space, except for it's incongruous with the entire rest of the films where they don't give a fuck about what you would hear in space.
Here we go.
Like the Death Star exploding would not make a sound, except for maybe inside the Death Star briefly.
Yeah, as all the noises sucked out. Like, just Ghost Leia, floating weird Leia, CGI Leia. Jesus Christ!
They almost did it kind of justice. Like they made it very visceral. Where like she went flying at the back of the ship, and I was like, so that's how they've done it. Like,
that wasn't even my. I didn't even really have a problem with that. Like, all right, you can use the Force to float yourself through space. We've never seen anything to say you can't.
It looks so bad.
Yeah, again, the cinema experience watching this was like, we all seen her getting viscerally just thrown out of the back of a ship into an explosion. And you're like, shit, okay, so they've done it. Yeah, rest in peace. Then they do that, and it's like total silence, and the whole cinema just kind of like.
Yeah, she's super okay. She's got Jedi healing powers or something. I don't know.
It was
speaking of Jedi healing powers, we'll get to that.
Oh yeah.
There's so many things. It's just like we'll get to that because of how bad it is.
I will say, like, my summation of The Last Jedi is Ryan Johnson for the whole thing just goes psych.
Exactly.
There's like every single character has a psych moment.
Oh, you want to know what Snoke's
aggravating.
background is? Just kidding, we killed him. Oh, you want to know where Rey came from? Nobody. She's not important. You want to see Kylo Ren be the new Darth Vader? Nope. We're going to do a different thing with them.
You want to see the Knights of Ren? Psych.
No, we don't get them.
But it's also like the most annoying thing for me, and what's annoying about it is they make it part of the story. It's Poe's whole story with the kind of try to get away, or actually he's trying to like get off the ship, basically.
Yeah.
And Jurassic Park lady, I can't remember what her name is basically like, no, you're not in charge, and we've got a plan, but I'm not going to tell you the plan.
Yeah, that whole thing was really annoying.
It's just like to the point where Poe like hosts a mutiny and is like ready to kill them right there. Then it comes out like, oh silly Poe. Like
shenanigans.
Tricks are for kids. And it's just like,
exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like they spend so long trying to get all of the characters in the right narrative places. So they get all the people like Poe, try to get him off the ship, whatever it is. But they do it they just don't give a shit of how we spend 30 minutes not telling Poe something. We then spend 50 to 20 minutes going through a casino to try and get the guy. Turns out that guy won't actually see us. We get thrown in prison. Then we meet another guy by happenstance who's the actual guy we really need, who then ends up double crossing us at the end because, of course, he would. Why not?
You missed out a key detail there. They call Maz to like see, can you do this? Us? And she literally says like, yeah, I can, but I won't. All right, cool. And like, imagine if this film started and it wasn't the stupid, like, however you take it, really, I didn't like it. Of like Luke taking the lightsaber instead of him throwing it away in a comedic fashion, he just like goes, "Yeah, cool. Let's get your training underway." Imagine if that was a step.
Don't forget, guys. They liberated alien dog horses. So
man, and left several slave children.
That 5 seconds, just that now it's worth it. Like,
we didn't even talk about Rose.
I don't like
there's
Rose.
There's nothing to talk about.
I like her.
Nothing
No.
against her actress. It's horrible
No,
the
not
things
at
she
all,
went through on
yeah.
social media with people harassing
Oh,
her
man.
for various
Yeah.
reasons.
Of course, yeah.
But
As a character, I don't
Very-
like
yeah.
Rose.
I think the character just isn't written to the best that it could be narratively.
I thought
This
she had a
is-
lot of potential. Like,
Yeah,
They wrote her too much as like wide-eyed, idealistic anime girl, and no, I'm not saying that because the actress is Asian.
It's a trope. It's like almost a manic pixie dream girl thing.
Yeah,
That's-
it
it's the
just
same kind of thing.
I didn't care for it.
I think
At all.
the character has such an interesting thing where she's like, okay, my sister died, but I'm trying to put on a brave face through this whole thing.
yeah, like, and the whole, it's kind of played for comedy, but it's a really nice idea of, like, she's totally fangirling over Finn.
She's
And then,
she's
like,
Neville
without
Longbottom.
even explaining it, she just, like, zaps him.
yeah,
And it's, like, so stoic, and it's like, this is my duty, I need to do this.
this is what I would
it's
say.
so
She's
like,
like
oh.
she's like the Neville Longbottom of these films.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And Harry
Oh, it
Potter
literally does
Neville
the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Ah.
Neville Longbottom, character who is like a character who's a brave character, maybe not the most powerful of everyone, but at the end of the day ends up saving a bunch of people by actually being like showing obviously it has
Only,
been brave
only
all
in this
along.
case, they saved absolutely no one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
runs onto the oh god, we'll talk about that when we get to fucking
Yeah.
the other one.
I think so I think the reason I would place this above Rise of Skywalker is it didn't necessarily narratively do what I want, and it has some very weak bits to it. However, it doesn't destroy the entire story. There are still places you could go with a third movie after this to make things interesting. Whereas like you can fumble with a middle chapter and still course correct and stick the landing. What Rise of Skywalker did was not course correct and stick the landing. It was throw the entire goddamn middle chapter out the window, spend most of the movie doing it, and then go, you like it, right?
It was like a really, like, bad apology.
Yes.
It was.
Right. The Last Jedi was a movie that I can tolerate. It didn't necessarily go where I wanted to narratively, but it wasn't, as a whole, a bad narrative by itself.
I realize that in hindsight there are some good bits too.
There's some
just-
like amazing shots of it. Like, we didn't even mention the throne room scene, that battle.
Yeah.
That is like,
It's basically a 2-hour-long chase scene.
Like the thing with the Snoke and the lightsaber thing, really cool idea.
That whole fight was really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fucking
like-
great fight as well.
A big issue with that though is you could have had that be the Knights of Rain.
It's very
You
true.
could've.
Yeah, instead
Yeah.
of it being the
But you didn't.
And it's like, whatever. Yeah.
I say it's like a few little bits, like a few major plot connections. This film would have been good.
Mm-hmm.
I
Like,
will always associate The Last Jedi with the color red. So
Yeah.
much red in that film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it leads to also Last Jedi leads too much on its comedic sensibilities in it.
Oh, sorry. One more
It-
thing as well. It's kind of played throughout it. Is
Yeah.
the connection between Kylo Ren and Rey? They have like almost like a
Oh, yeah,
force
there's
connection,
Yeah,
They're
the
like-
force like telephone
they're-
call almost.
disrupting matter and stuff, and like transporting it. It's quite interesting, but again, they just don't really. They do a lot of visual stuff with it, but not a lot of.
That's the one. I
right
feel
now.
like that's the one thing from this film that we actually get payoff for in
Yeah.
The Rise of
Yeah.
Skywalker.
It was a legitimate
Oh.
good idea.
I'll say honestly with this is that the Force by the end of these three films becomes like Silver Age Superman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it becomes like
it can do whatever you need it
can
to
do
do.
it. You
Yeah.
want to hear someone, it does it. You want to have weird Force telephone calls, it does it. You want it
Yeah.
to move things, it does it.
It's
the-
dices. It dices.
in
It is
the original
action.
trilogy, and even to a certain extent in the prequels, even with
Yeah.
all the stupid midichlorian stuff, the Force it lets you do like some telepathic stuff. It lets you move some stuff. You've got
It's
like
a force you could tap into in the universe. You don't have necessarily have ultimate control over it. You just
Mhm.
tap into it and use it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the various Star Wars video games kind of encompass what the Force is pretty well. Like
Yeah.
you can choke people, you can move stuff,
Lightning.
you can push stuff, you can pull stuff, you do lightning. If you're a crazy pants, it's probably
can
not good
dodge
for
out the
you.
way of
It's going to
stuff.
turn your forehead into a testicle.
Hmm.
It can make
Giant
you
ball.
real fast for a short period of time, and it makes your instincts better.
better. You're in tune with the universe.
Feel, don't think.
Yeah.
Use your instincts. Thanks, Qui-Gon.
Oh,
This
Was
is
that your
pod racing.
was that your Liam Neeson impression?
is that your
You seem to
I
be
don't
getting one of
know,
these
man.
every week.
I don't
Where
know.
they're all different members of the Beatles to you for some reason.
Feel, don't think, Dewey. Use your instincts.
That's not what. Why is he so nasally? Liam Neeson doesn't sound like that.
my name is old
Haven't
Ben
you ever heard the
Kenobi.
Beatles?
It's Ringo Starr.
I've really only ever watched Walk Hard. That's my baseline.
Jesus.
You know what I love about that movie?
Yeah.
What?
All of the other actors are doing huge played up characters of the Beatles in that scene.
Because
But- But Justin Long is just 100% straight facing it as John Harrison.
yeah, because John Harrison, Justin Long,
respect
it's
that.
Jack Black is as who is it? Jack Black is is McCartney, right?
Yeah, I think Jack Black is Paul
'Cause
McCartney.
Paul Rudd is John Lennon.
What is
Yes.
this film?
What have you not heard? Have you not seen this? It's like a parody of it's what called Walk On.
Oh,
Walk
Christ. I gotta
Is it,
send you a
is, it,
YouTube
is, it
video
a
when
legit,
we're done
is, it a
here.
legit, is it a film or is it a video?
On. So it's a film. It's a film that is like based off of the Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash thing.
Yeah.
But it's a parody of it, and it's the guy who is in Step Brothers. I can't remember his name.
The one that's not Will Ferrell.
The
It's
one that's
other
not Will
guy.
Ferrell. He plays a parodied version of basically what Johnny Cash, and it's called Huey.
Huey Lewis in the news.
No,
Yes,
it's
yeah.
in the news.
Dewey penis.
Yeah, it's someone crazy. Look,
Why did all our goddamn podcasts these last 3 weeks about Star Wars always come back to the Beatles? I hate it.
It's because I keep doing bad Beatles impressions accidentally.
but accidentally good Beatles impressions, but bad for what you're going for.
But then
Anyway.
it becomes on purpose. Anyways,
Right, Rise of Skywalker.
Let's move on to the Rise of Skywalker.
If we must.
Unfortunately, we have to.
I
Good thing about this film.
go for it. Yeah.
My favorite thing about this film, is the specifically the meme worthy thing of the Kylo Ren thing, the Kylo Ren pulling the lightsaber out of his back thing.
Right.
I didn't even know that was a meme. Wait,
Oh yeah, it was a challenge on TikTok for
Oh,
fucking
is it?
ages.
Ooh.
The Kylo Ren challenge. People
Goddamn,
pull random
goddamn
shit.
Gen
out of their back.
Z.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
so-
pay attention to TikTok.
Am I right? Am I right, Ian? Goddamn
Yeah, you
Gen
are,
Z.
actually.
Yeah, all right.
I'm,
you
I'm
bastard.
also
TikTok.
I'm also Gen Z. So
Anyway, I was before we move on. Can I just say one thing about last?
You kids and your TikTok.
The sacred texts.
Guys,
Sorry.
guys. Somehow Palpatine has returned.
yeah, that was J.J. Abrams in the writing room. And that
Oh
was
my
everyone
god, that's so,
When
that's
when
the
if-
most, it's the most
when-
yada yada hand wavy bullshit I've ever heard. Somehow Palpatine has returned. Like,
Look,
oh,
look, but we know how he returned. There's decades worth of expanded universe stuff that you could use to explain how he returned, whether that be clones, holograms, simulations,
and that's more or
weird
less what they
mind
do.
transfer and stuff.
It's clones, pretty
They
much.
don't really explain it though, do they? They just kind of go.
Was the Palpatine? How long has Palpatine's been around forever? Was Palpatine Darth
Yeah.
Plagueis or whatever?
What, Plagueis?
Is
And he's-
was the Palpatine we
his-
saw in the original trilogy a clone? Was he just like a puppet
Is-
body?
Is his son that is Rey's dad? Is that a clone as well, or is that his actual son that he had at some point before he was a
that's an
wrinkly ballsack?
important
He's a-
point that we
he's a-
have to reckon with in this movie.
Yeah.
distant
Palpatine
cousin.
fucks.
Or at
Yeah.
least fucked. He fucked at some point. Yeah, at least done it
I mean-
once.
How much money do you think he has to get a prostitute?
I don't think he needs money. I think he uses dark Jedi mind trickery.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was
I could
definitely
make
not
lightning.
show.
Uh,
It's not no, not that one.
Dude.
Ben, I like the way you
You
went there,
will
but it's-
touch my strange wrinkled penis.
You will touch my
Do
ball.
it.
Do it. Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it just like that.
I think my mum watches.
I
these,
like
so this
when
is-
you throw it back to me.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, Massimo's mom.
Don't kill
Uh,
me.
Girl, what you going to do with all that junk in that
Yeah,
truck?
crack.
I could do this for hours.
Can we just not talk about Rise of
Yeah, it's
Skywalker?
so much more entertaining.
This is a lot more interesting.
I can't hold on any longer.
I'm so old. All that comes out is a weird dust cloud.
It's a puff of smoke.
It's like this.
It should be liquid, but it's not.
Just a single cough.
I don't have a prostate.
Caress my wrinkly balls.
This could be a whole bit just by itself.
I love it.
Clip it.
So
That was
anyway,
so good.
Palpatine is somehow returned.
Okay, so again, this suffers from the issue of probably the Force Awakens has, and it doesn't do nearly as well, is that it suffers from nostalgia, where it does try and reintroduce a bunch of old characters, such as Lando Calrissian, back into canon properly.
But see, in Force Awakens, it didn't really feel forced. Which sounds weird. Yeah, like, it sounds weird, doesn't it?
Hang on.
There you go. There you go.
Home run noise.
Wait.
What is it?
Just a hot take. Oh, hot take.
Yay!
Yay, home run. Yay.
Hat trick.
That's a good thing.
There you go. Good vibes.
See, compared to Force Awakens, like the nostalgia in this seems so forced, like Solo forced.
Yeah.
Force Awakens was like,
will-
I'm having fun with this nostalgia.
I will concede that I did cry, or tears came into my eyes when we thought Chewbacca was dead.
Oh yeah,
Because I thought they
What,
just
you
done
fell
it.
for that shit? Didn't you watch the trailers?
No, I didn't watch the
Oh.
trailers.
oh yeah. Because
Well, if you watch any of the trailers, it's incredibly obvious that Chewbacca's
Damn it.
not dead.
Oh, I don't watch trailers a lot of time because I don't like to have stuff spoiled.
Well, that's a-
I'm
that's a-
Massimo. I like to go into things without spoilers.
Yes, because we loved it.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really good point. Because like, I think we all seen the first.
Throw it back to me, girl.
Right.
God damn it! Wait, are you trying to say that Palpatine and Mickey were the ones that made Rey?
I mean,
I'm saying that at this point, I'm just going to make inappropriate sex jokes with all of my impression voices.
Mickey.
I mean, I'll be honest.
What
I feel
you
like
gonna do with all that ass, Dewey? I have to cut.
Was that
all
Lord of
this
the Rings
out.
voice or what?
I don't know.
That's a really good point you make, Mass. Like after the first film, I didn't watch any of the trailers at all.
right because
I wanted to go into it
Yeah.
unsurprised. Yeah, I didn't.
Which-
I've never seen the trailers for.
Yeah, I
I
haven't
watch
either.
trailers because I
Or-
have no patience.
Yeah,
It's the same as well as I
understand that
avoid.
as well. Yeah.
I used to, or I don't do it as much anymore, but I used to avoid, teaser things. What were they called? TV spots for like TV shows whenever they would release anything. So see for the lead
Yeah,
up
the
to
Super
like
Bowl
One
and stuff
Division,
like that?
yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
See the lead up to Falcon and Winter Soldier, and also One Division. I avoided absolutely
Hmm.
everything about it like the fucking plague.
Yeah.
Even Loki as well. Like if I'd see an ad for it on my social media, I just scroll straight past it as fast as possible.
I can't remember the last
'Cause-
time I've done that for something. Yeah, anyway, yeah, digress.
Yeah. So I definitely fell for Chewbacca dying.
And they could have really kept it up if they didn't have that one scene with Donald Gleason where he just went, "He's alive,"
So,
and then they do it like half an hour later. They go like,
This-
"Oh, Ray's discovered that like he's alive still."
This
Yeah,
film
yeah,
just
we know.
spoon feeds so much to you.
Yeah.
do you want your nostalgia and your Star Wars? Take
Wait,
it.
is
Num, num, num.
Here comes the X-wing. Open your mouth.
I thought you called that tuna nostalgia, like tuna. Ugh. Yeah.
I don't like tuna.
What?
Yeah.
I don't like it either.
Wish we could
The
agree on something.
anti-tuna post.
It's the worst
It's
fish.
terrible.
I'm trying to even think of any good in Rise of Skywalker. I'd say, like, the
BGCP
whole-
Disassembled is brought to you by Chicken of the Sea.
Too much
John
tuna.
Smith? There isn't like force healing. We've already said this. Oh god, how terrible. Okay, Deus Ex Machina. We now know we can heal.
Yeah, like why if that's something you can do, why didn't someone force heal the hole in Qui-Gon's fucking stomach?
Yeah, or because we see fucking what he brings Rey back to life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
no.
movie they ping pong the force healing. I'm gonna force heal you. No, you force heal me. Oh no, you're dead.
Is this the film where we get Ghost Yoda back? Or was
That's
that Last Jedi?
that is the Last Jedi, and that's
was Last
the,
Jedi.
The sacred text thing that I made reference to is that scene.
It's important that we talk about that then because
Only
it kind of
books
falls
they
into
are.
this. Because out of that, another good thing that
Throw
came
it
from
back
Last
to me,
Jedi
you will, girl.
was the My Stick video, and like that. Oh, That's
Yeah.
I think that's maybe the best thing that came out of the Last Jedi.
What,
with
bad
lip
lip
reading.
readings, the
Yeah.
mystic. Yeah.
Master.
Yeah.
Oh, what a baseline as well. I've done that too. That's probably the best thing came from that. But also, we've learned in that, like, oh, so ghosts have power here.
Mhm.
Like, they can cause explosions, and now in Rise of Skywalker, we see Luke Skywalker as a ghost hold a lightsaber.
We do. Yeah.
Where does
it's
that?
weird.
Where does that come back into it then? Exactly.
The issue
and that-
is that
That
play
scene exists
so-
purely just to be like,
Oh my god.
Yeah, fuck the Last Jedi.
Yeah.
it's stuff like it's so inconsistent. That's the issue. Is that like if there was some sort of consistency to it, you can make sense for it. Like, okay, for example, if we'd seen before that characters who were near death or dying had just been healed by the Force. Also, why the fuck did Obi-Wan not heal Anakin instead of leave him be a smoldering
you
pile
know, I'm feeling like maybe even if this had been an established power, all of your limbs cut off and burned by volcano lava is maybe a little over the point of being able to be healed by the Force.
of... Yeah, true. That's true. That's a good point.
You gotta have limits, man.
What those are, we don't know.
There's another thing with this film where they almost try to take inspiration from Knights of the Old Republic. The whole intro of it is Palpatine is found through a message that's held in like what was it called? Like, almost like a star map.
Yeah, the
A wee holocron.
Yeah, the Sith holocron. Yeah.
And that's like the whole story up until like the end of the middle act. And it's like we have to protect this holocron because it has like the information.
The whole
and stuff.
story of Rise of Skywalker is we have to find the MacGuffin so we can go to the place and kill the bad dude.
But then halfway through the film, Kylo Ren just destroys the MacGuffin, and it's almost it does that Ryan Johnson kind of like, ha, psych, but you didn't
I
see
hate
that coming.
the
This changes
MacGuffin.
everything. It's like
My
no, it's just,
my
you've made
ghost
this
daddy
entire
is appearing
film,
to me, even though he was never a Jedi.
Yeah. So the ones that you like, well, does that mean he was Force sensitive? Hence why he dodged it. That people were like trying to be like, oh, because that's how he dodged it the way a Greedo shot. He craned his
No,
neck.
it means that
think,
J.J. Abrams doesn't give a shit, or it was just a manifestation in Kylo Ren's mind. Also, let's talk about how Harrison Ford did not give enough of a shit to cut his hair for this slight bit part.
Good.
My
He looks great,
God.
though.
Yeah, but you could tell he just like walked on set, filmed like 30 seconds, took his paycheck, and went home.
I love.
Good
I
stuff.
mean, even this, he's fucking great though, right? Like it's actually a very emotionally powerful scene.
Oh yeah, it's one
it's
of the
the
only good
best scene of
scenes
the
in the
film.
film.
It's the
Yeah.
best scene of the film.
And you're like, okay, I guess it just shows that Harrison Ford, when he wants to act, he can, and he's
Yeah,
a great
definitely.
actor.
If he's paid
Also,
enough, yeah.
so halfway through the film, they find a knife on. Do they go? Is it Tatooine? Do they go to Tatooine? Is that where that all
Is it
happens?
Jakku?
Is it back to Jakku?
No, it's,
Anyways,
it's Dantooine, I think.
all right.
There's-
Well, it's fucking
yeah.
Star Wars Desert Planet
Yeah,
number 655. The point is, they find this
Mhm.
knife that has the serrated edge that perfectly outlines the ruins of the Death Star on Yavin. Which is a cool idea, by the way. I mean,
Yeah,
the
it's
Death
very-
Star wouldn't
it's
have
very-
just disintegrated.
It's very Zelda, like that's almost like
yeah,
a Zelda puzzle.
It's cool looking, but like you're telling me that after 30 some odd years, none of it would have degraded enough that it still
What?
perfectly fits the outline on this knife.
What would have made more sense is that if they got there and that's what had happened, and they went to the wrong place in the Death Star first, and there was that whole like Indiana Jones kind of moment where it's like, oh wait, hang on,
Yeah,
we're slightly to the left, or there's a secret passage or whatever, that kind of thing. That'd be cool. Make more sense, right? Like,
yeah, you
just-
could have done that.
But yeah.
Something that you just reminded me of because of that scene. Oh my god! Like they introduced like 10 or 15 new characters to this film.
Yeah.
There's so many like new faces.
Who's
It's
the
like,
woman
what
who
is
rides the
point?
horse? What's her name?
I don't know.
even
There's Horse Lady. There's Poe's ex lady.
Yeah, the one that's
There's
the weird
Finn's
bun
new
hat.
love interest. That's
Can
like,
we-
she has no character.
Can we? Yeah, Finn's new slash maybe Londo Calrissian's daughter.
Daughter, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then because we get that weird thing there where it's like, huh,
Oh,
do you
yeah.
want to ride with me?
Yeah,
It's
like,
like,
are
he's
you?
a
Is
swinger.
that? Are you? Do you think she's
What-
your daughter, or are you
what-
trying to
what-
hit that?
What are you
Exactly.
proposing right now? Like,
Girl, why
what's
don't
in
you
this?
throw it back to me?
Is that your Billy D. Williams?
I don't know, man.
Really?
I was Two-Face.
I will say I love Babu. I think it's
Yes,
Babu.
Babu
and
Frick is the best new
Babu
character
Frick
of the
is
whole
great.
film.
So
Yeah.
cool.
Oh my god, the C3PO seat.
Yeah.
Whatever the
Again,
fuck his
totally
name
like.
is.
Oh, you mean the dramatic
Yeah.
that had no freaking consequences
Consequences
except for,
whatsoever.
oh, literally you just forgot the second film and that's it?
Yeah.
It's
That's
another
what I'm
kind
saying,
of
like-
MacGuffin. Just yeah.
I'm like, you could have done that, and it would be like, okay, this is amazing because we know that CP3, like, he will just be back to normal, and like,
Like, what would have been really dramatic is like erase all of it. Like the only bit of his memory that he recovers is up to the end of the prequel trilogy. Like,
Yeah,
he doesn't
so
know
he-
Luke Skywalker. He doesn't know Han Solo. Last thing he remembers is his inventor turning into an evil dick.
Nope.
But no, they're like, no, we can restore your memory, but my databanks only go
Gotcha,
conveniently up to the end of Force Awakens. That was the
is.
most like on the nose middle finger to the last movie out of all the middle fingers to the last movie.
it's just a nice
Hello?
deletion of basically outside
Literally-
the canon.
Hmm.
Literally deleting it from
Um,
the canon. Like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I'm not defending The Last Jedi as some
Yeah,
great
can't
film.
hear you
Or not
guys.
The Last Jedi. Yeah, The Last Jedi is some great film, obviously. But
It should
like,
just- it should just exist though. It shouldn't be straight away like you made this film, it exists in your canon. You have to deal with the consequences that you have.
Yeah.
You don't just try and
Ah, here we go. Go back.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, everything cut out there for a second.
But no, he was just saying the fact that CP3
CP for you.
you're having some real
Christ.
problems with that.
problems with that.
It's me saying Skywalker, saying Skywalker.
The robot that's friends with R2D2.
yeah.
Him
Which
forgetting the guy with the red hand.
Oh yeah,
the-
Which one?
the one with the silver leg.
Anakin.
Which
The one
Oh,
that
Silver Leg Jones.
Oh, Silver Leg. Long John Silver Jones.
I was gonna
no.
say, go for it. Yeah.
But yeah, just how him in general forgetting that because basically C3PO.
You did it.
No, yeah, okay. He is arguably like the narrator if you think about it. He's like the history of all of the recorded history of Star Wars for the main.
Yeah.
He's in every single one.
Yeah.
And the fact they choose to make him basically delete the Last Jedi is like, well,
That's why I was like, yeah, you didn't enjoy the prequels. Where are the sequels? It's like, oh, but honey.
Hey guys.
no.
Remember how we
Yeah.
were all after the Force Awakens? We were like, who is Snoke? What is Snoke? What's his deal?
Oh, yeah. So what was your
yeah,
feelings?
so dude.
Did you guys have any wild views at the time? No?
Not
Just-
really.
were you not-
I mean, I was
were you
just
not
like,
part
I
of that
don't know,
community?
maybe he's like a fucked up Palpatine clone. Turns out, yeah, he's a fucked up Palpatine clone.
How dare you did
Yeah.
not you did not just have like, oh maybe. How dare you? You did not.
I think
you
everyone
had a
thought
wild
that.
No,
I
didn't.
thought-
Like,
I thought
we had
Darth-
all
Darth
these wild
Plagueis-
theories. Yeah, that was
Darth
the
Plagueis
big one.
was the
Like,
big
oh,
one. Yeah.
the one
That
I
is-
seen that like a lot of people really went with was like it's Windu. I'm like, what?
I always took that as a joke.
Yeah, but people took it so seriously. They're like, oh,
What?
but the lightning
Mace
struck his head.
Mace
and gave him a
Windu
big
turned
dent.
into a white dude.
Yeah.
Mace flew out the window.
Hey, the force.
What happened to him?
The force is one hell of a drug.
Mace flew out the window.
No.
Yeah. Oh, nice Scottish joke. Give yourself a pat in the back, honey. Nailed it.
Raise the roof.
Yeah.
There was also the Darth Jar Jar theories.
I would have loved it. Just
Man,
for
would
the-
it be
just for the-
great,
Just
but
for
it-
the sheer fuckery of it.
Just and giggles at that point.
Yeah, as well.
The series was already fucked.
Missa
though, so-
turned you to the dark side of the Force.
Missa
Show you the power. Missa bad racial stereotype.
Anyways,
Correct.
We love you,
Um,
Jojo.
Look,
look,
I'll
Rise
be-
of Skywalker has a lot of problems, and it's not a good.
I'll be honest. Like, obviously, as long as we agree that Force Awakens is at the top, the other two are interchangeable.
I still think that The Last Jedi takes spot number 2 only because it can exist as its own
You know what?
narrative that continues the first film versus The Rise of Skywalker does not stand alone as its own narrative. It exists purely to retcon the second film, and it's not a satisfying ending to what should have been a big deal.
I'm inclined to agree with you. on this,
I'd
so.
say
I
something
think-
to that.
I think
The
Rise of
Last Jedi-
Skywalker does more harm to the trilogy than The Last Jedi does.
I'd say The Last Jedi makes me angry for what it does to like what Force Awakens brought up, and the fact that it does just like give a middle finger to it and do its own thing that ultimately doesn't really work in the context in hindsight. But Rise of Skywalker try to bring it back to that. It's just
Didn't
upsetting.
work. Yeah.
It's like stop. It's already dead. Like
Yeah.
It's like
I would
beating
rather Rise of Skywalker had continued those plot narratives.
beating a dead tauntaun.
I'd rather be passionately angry than just.
And I
Like,
thought these
sad.
movies smell bad on the outside.
Ah.
So are we all pretty much unanimous this week when it comes to it's Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, and coming in fourth, the Star Wars Holiday
This
Special.
holiday special.
Yeah.
Because of course we came up with a bullshit rating system that needs 4.
Hey!
movies.
I'll die in this. I came up with it. You
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you
not
for
taking
the
credit
bullshit.
for that.
Right,
I wasn't
in
gonna
hindsight-
like collectively rank these at all.
In hindsight,
I
this
was
is
just
gonna
gonna
be
go
great.
week by week and like not really care about the totality of it. But
And
Ben
what
just
do you
had to
what do you
be-
mean I didn't factor in that we were only doing 3 in the last one and didn't think of a 4th? Poppycock.
Well, okay,
You're
so
crazy.
to be straight with y'all, Mandalorian was gonna rank as the 4th thing here, but there's a couple of problems with that. One, I haven't watched it. Two, it's hard to rank an entire television series versus
Yeah.
movies.
And 3, it's a television series.
And
Oh,
3, I
yeah.
haven't watched it.
Yeah.
And also it would break. From what I hear, it would be number 1 in this list if it had been included.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Star Wars Clint Eastwood. It's
Yeah.
just nuts.
Cowboys.
Um,
and
So
Star
with
Wars.
so with that, we'll hopefully rank that in a different list once we have the Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi coming out. Well, maybe we can include the.
I can't watch all these
Clone Wars
Star Wars
animes.
shows.
Yeah, you can.
I
You
don't
can.
care enough.
Ian,
But by
you'll
that
see
time-
a trailer and you'll be fine.
By that
They
time, Dan will
announce
be
a
back
new
from his
Star Wars
hiatus,
show
it's
like
fine.
every week.
I know, but you'll love it once you see the trailer.
Ugh.
The trailer.
Eat it up, little piggy.
Oh man.
All right, I'm Star Wars out.
Right.
Mm.
So
So unanimous ranking all.
No,
Shut up, it's time for news.
I think we got it anyway.
I just moved on.
you just right. Anyway,
I just steamrolled over whatever the hell you were going
Yeah.
to say.
the news.
I'm a really good host.
Just to bring it back. Oh, Richard E. Grant was in Rise of Skywalker. More on him.
yeah.
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 Talk about that last.
Boom. Segue.
So
I was. My segue was going to be speaking about television shows.
I
Mine
hate
was better.
television.
Mine was more accurate, Mass. Right.
I hate
So-
television.
yeah, no.
Netflix. That's all I got.
What?
Netflix is planning on maybe streaming its own original games, and I expect all of them to be canceled after the first season.
What do they
So-
mean by this?
So I wrote the article for this, and I hate to say it, I may have went for a bit of clickbaitiness with the title. It isn't necessarily clickbait though. However, because what's happened is recently, according to a Bloomberg report, Netflix will apparently be streaming games in the next year. The report basically details how the stream platform has hired former Electronics Arts and Facebook executive who was on Oculus, Mike Verdrew, to lead the project, and this could maybe be the start of original games for Netflix, mainly because in recent years, Netflix have been putting out stuff like Bandersnatch, and they've done a bunch of tie-in games with third-party developers. And they also said in a 2019 report that their biggest competitor was not another streaming service, but in fact, games like Fortnite that it competes and loses to. And maybe it's after to create its own metaverse.
I don't understand how that's really competition. They're completely different mediums.
They said it in their quarterly report in 2019. So Netflix, at least in some capacity,
That's a-
believe
I guess other companies making more money than you.
Yeah,
as
I guess
competition.
financially speaking, but
Yeah.
they're definitely not competitors in the same
So-
field.
Hmm.
Although
It's like
although
going
it's
into a boxing match with a gun. Like,
it's very true.
You
Um,
brought a sword to a knife fight. They're slightly different.
Different.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, so overall though, I think it'd be quite interesting because obviously it could be the fact that they maybe they stream out or they're going to license out third party properties or other IPs.
I'm into that. I'd like to see like some Netflix originals get like a game adaptation. That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
or it could go like that because it would make sense and also the fact that they are willing to take risks on content that isn't necessarily super well known, like stuff like Sweet
Yeah.
Tooth doing really well.
Yeah,
and
man.
kinda,
I'm skeptical because there have been multiple companies, including some pretty big names, that have tried the whole streaming game
Yeah.
thing, and we have yet to have one that's really hit. I mean, obviously we're waiting for Project X Cloud to come out of beta in the fall. Stadia has not been a fantastic success. Going all the way back to OnLive in 2009, like so far, no one's really managed to nail it. I still don't think we're there yet.
I think if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Netflix. They did it with digital streaming.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
I mean, it could be terrible. It could be horrendous, but at the same time, I mean, also allegedly, it won't cost anything on top of your normal Netflix subscription.
Oh, okay, that's good.
It's apparently included completely with the price, which I take to mean rather than the price is going to stay the same. The price is going to be jacked up like Disney Plus
probably
Stars on.
Yeah, just as I thought about that there.
Yeah. So it will be part of your subscription, but you have to pay more.
Like in terms of like maybe adapting some of the shows, I'd quite like to see like a Altered Carbon game. If they could do something big with that, like that'd be awesome.
You ever play Cyberpunk?
No, because I don't have a computer. I have a Mac, so I can't control. That's too much power. That'll drain my entire county.
This doesn't really play on audio, but I made a stinky face.
Yeah,
you can hear it.
Yeah, you can hear the silence. So
I don't want a Mac. I have a Mac. God, your head looks like your head looks like a Snickers bar, Ian. It's like a big vein sticking in anger. We're broken.
Oh, he's gone. He's dead. We've killed him. Dead.
This is something about I can't control it really tickled me. Like it's a power that's been bestowed onto you.
I can't control it.
Yeah, it controls you. You don't control it.
The ability to have a Mac.
Oh, I'm lightheaded now. That was goofy.
So, speaking of video games, with a segue, this kind of relates to something that we did we talked a little bit about, or well, specifically me and Dan talking about on another podcast, E3 Rumors Roundup thing, was the fact that Bloober Team has put an end to the Silent Hill rumors. So all the stuff that's maybe coming out with Konami and all that kind of stuff, and Dan had this full conspiracy theory article that he wrote, which is really good and really interesting. There's also a great video about it as well.
Yeah.
Apparently completely been shut down. And allegedly that there is no Silent Hill game or Silent Hills game in development, and it didn't exist or exist. And yeah.
Release the Silent Hill cut.
Everyone wants a new Silent Hill, and I get it, but like, maybe we should just let it go. Maybe it's time to just let it go.
I feel like right now it would just be for the sake of competing with Resident Evil again.
Yeah. I feel like right now it would just be for the sake of nostalgia. The Silent Hill Awakens.
Is this to do with PT, or was that like a whole other thing that just didn't happen?
So this is another whole. It's like kind of a different thing. Obviously, PT was the thing that was Konami and Guillermo del Toro and all that stuff. That was Silent Hills. But then that got shut down after Konami left. Hideo Kojima left Sony on bad terms and left stuff on bad terms. But this is apparently was to do with like Bloober Team would be working with Konami, which still means that the thing that Dan said could still happen, the whole conspiracy. But who knows?
I trust and don't trust Dan on his theories.
Exactly. he's sometimes spot on and sometimes horrendously far off. What else have we got about?
We want to talk about video games. Do you guys like the Nintendo Switch?
Yes.
All right. So what if I told you that Steam was making their own Switch, but like more powerful,
but has less storage? It's like 32 gigs in the.
Oh, it was 64. So Steam and Gabe Newell, the Overlord Knife Master, bearded extraordinaire, who gave birth to the Gordon Freeman and then left him to die, announced the Steam Deck. And what that is it's basically a handheld PC in the stylings of the Switch. You can even dock it to a TV and all that. That is set to start to come out towards the end of the year. There was a whole rigmarole with you can't even pre-order it. You can pay $5 to reserve a spot to pre-order it later down the line.
You can pay to be in the queue for the game.
Pretty much.
With GameSpot and PlayStation.
Now, granted, the $5 is refundable if you change your mind. The models start at $400 and will start to release in December, though I'm seeing a lot of people are getting like Q1 and Q2 2022 dates. It's got a 7-inch touchscreen. It's got controls that are set up very much like you would see on a Switch. It doesn't have the detachable controllers like a Switch. It's all one big thing. There are track pads under each of the thumbsticks to emulate mouse controls. And what we're looking at is 8 gigabytes of VRAM on the GPU, which is more than I have on my computer.
You could run Cyber. You could run.
We're looking
Cyber
we're
on
looking
that.
at a Zen 2 processor. We're looking at 16 gigabytes of RAM, DDR5. Looking at about a 1280 by 800
Handstand
resolution,
resolution.
which slightly above 720p, but that's fine with a 7-inch screen. Like everyone who's been talking about a 4K Switch, like why?
It's a small screen. It's not really going to be that packed full. Okay, it's going to look slightly prettier, but
Yeah, Bluetooth 5.0, Wi-Fi, all that stuff you would expect. The biggest difference is you're looking at, as was mentioned, some different internal storage. You're looking at $400 for a 64 gig model, which
that's like one game, 2 games, 2 like
Well,
big AAA games.
I
That's
mean,
the issue.
the
That'll
thing
get
is,
you the title screen of Cyberpunk.
I don't know that this thing is going to run any current games that are 60 gigs.
Well, there was the Control was one of the games that was showed off.
Yeah, true.
So like,
$530 for a 256 gigabyte solid state model,
it's a bit better.
and $650 for a 512 gigabyte solid. This has PlayStation 3
yeah, right all
vibes.
over it. Yeah.
Now, from what I understand, though, you can also expand the storage yourself with SD cards. So if you're not too if you're not too concerned with having a solid state drive,
External drives though are always an issue though, like, when it comes to gaming.
well,
Like,
no,
just
SD card, not external drives.
well, it's still like not great to not have it. It's not SSD though, is it? Like it's
Well, no, but that's not that different than having it on like just a hard drive.
When GTA 5 came out, I had the Xbox 360, and in order to play it, I had to get a USB stick and put it into my.
Yeah, because you had to
Xbox.
install it.
Yeah, so I've got an entire USB just with GTA 5 in it.
And
Sucked.
for battery life, they said it's 2 to 8 hours depending on what you're doing. So you could play Portal 2 for 4 hours, and maybe if you limit it to 30 FPS, you could play it for 5 to 6. Which I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle. Is battery life. Battery life and heat dissipation, I think, 2 things. I'm wary about this thing.
they're gonna be so warm.
I will not be, and not just because I don't think it's a good financial decision, I will not be picking one of these up at launch. I don't know if you guys remember the Steam machine.
Oh man.
Steam does not have a good track record with coming out with their own hardware and having it be successful. The Steam machine, the Steam controller, the Valve Index. It's very possible this is just going to be the next in a long line of expensive, unnecessary Valve peripherals.
The thing is, as well, is that you could spend what's the maximum price for this the Switch, the Steam machine? So
The Steam machine, $650.
you could get a decent. Well, you used to be able to, or after this pandemic is all over, you could get a decent machine for £650 probably.
Yeah,
Get something decent. You could get something that could run probably not all games, but could run a fairly good amount of games, and the fact as well that it would be in the long run probably last longer, and you'd be able to use it for a longer period of time because
yeah.
It's an interesting thing because it feels like Steam have almost like lost their way of doing anything. It's like, let's develop all these peripherals rather than focusing on what we're good at, which is making video games.
Valve came out with Team Fortress 2 and Dota 2, and we're like, oh, we can just make money off this for the rest of forever.
Do you want to see Left 4 Dead come back though?
I mean, it basically is.
I mean, Back for Blood,
Oh,
much.
God.
Yeah, that's basically what. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. I'm waiting to get IGN has a hands-on on it. I will be eagerly awaiting at the end of the year to hear some of the man on the street first impressions on the YouTubes. I expect there will be plenty. Maybe this is the first step towards a cool handheld PC. There have been things like this before. There's a couple of peripherals there's a couple of things you can get out there right now that are basically handheld PCs that don't quite have this power or this form factor, but are similar in concept. So I mean, maybe this will open the door for something cool, but I'm not holding my breath. The other issues are the Steam Deck might not play some of its Steam's most popular games because of the way that the hardware is actually running Linux and kind of works with their Proton kind of emulation software to run Windows. So you will not be able, at the moment at least, I'm sure they could patch it eventually, but certain popular games like Destiny 2, Apex Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, basically big multiplayer games that people like to play still, will not run on the machine as of it.
So that's a big blow.
Yeah. Looking forward to
investment.
playing Candy Crush.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'll okay. If it's a bunch of indie titles on it, because they'll be able to run them in some of the probably single player games. But then you're like, well, I have a Switch, or it's half the price.
Well, and some people are
can
saying,
play
"Oh,
Among
this
Us,
is Rip Switch. This is the Switch killer." Not really, because I mean, most of the things, anything on the Switch that is available on other stuff is already available third party. Like the thing you get the Switch for the most part, is Nintendo games, and we're not about to get Zelda on Steam. So I think, as per usual, Nintendo sits in its own corner, not really competing with anyone.
Lording over. Well, I guess that kind of concludes all the kind of gaming news we've got for this week.
That's my soapbox.
Yeah, very good soapbox. You should hit the home run noise.
So you
Wait.
can find all these news articles at the BGCP Comic Con page.
Well, most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't write anything for the Steam Deck, but
No, we should have.
We can go into that later.
it's too late now. Who cares?
In other news, and also relevant as well, we got the Loki season finale. What's best is come back to the news on that afterward.
Gonna be
So,
Loki
shall we
season 2. Also, Richard Grant wants his own Loki spinoff.
Yeah, I'm done for that.
We'll come back to those.
I want a whole classic universe.
It sounds good.
Let's get into that season finale of Loki.
You guys like
It was
talking?
fine, wasn't it?
I
That was
actually,
fine. Let's just go and let's get into it.
I liked it a
I
lot.
liked it a lot.
I think
Daniel did not care for it.
I don't get. Right, Dan, I love you, man. Right, but come on, man.
Dan doesn't like anything.
Doesn't like dialogue. I like talking. It's not
I think that's
explosions.
kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's talk. Most of this episode is talking. I agree with that. It's not. The
And
most
it's
action-packed
good
episode.
too. A lot of things, like, you could easily do a dialogue heavy finale and have it be crap.
Yeah. Game of Thrones.
They did not do that here.
Yeah. How do we even start this off?
Well,
What do we? The intro, the beginning.
so
beginning.
so
of this
luckily, there's not a lot of different things to cover with this episode. It's a lot of one thing. So we left off at the end of the penultimate episode with Loki and Loki at the gates of this mansion at the end of time after having charmed Eliath. And so they wander into said mansion.
and we get a Miss Minutes jump scare.
We do get a Miss Minutes jump scare, which for a brief moment I was like, "Oh my god, are they doing that? Are they going to do that? Is Miss Minutes really the one behind it all?"
It's kind of strong. I'd be quite happy with that if they did.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But no, the one behind it all is the one he who remains, which they did an interesting thing here.
Yeah.
In the comics, he who remains is a totally separate character from who we meet. He's just a really old dude from the beginning of time.
That's almost like an Iron Man 3
Yes.
So
with MacGuffin again,
if we
but reversed.
not to completely go off track, but the intro to this episode as well, very, very interesting. And something that I didn't realize, and I realized in hindsight, was the fact that it was actually showing two universes side by side.
Oh yeah,
It's two universes side by side, and I think this was intentional as well. Was that the two universes were half of it was Marvel quotes, and the other half were quotes from us, real life people. So it's like Stephen Hawking,
Which
Greta
is funny because
Thunberg,
ostensibly
Neil
those
Armstrong.
people
Oh,
exist
yeah.
in.
So I could have been wrong. I could think it's the fact that it's trying to show that the only two universes that exist are our universe and the 616 universe.
it makes a nice kind of like a big theory I had from the get go of Loki was that the kind of overlord timekeepers and those that have like control everything. I took that to be a kind of tongue in cheek way of saying, oh, it's the people behind Marvel. It's all the writers and stuff that have created these different universes and different comics and different variants of characters. hence variant, comic variants like that. That's kind of how I took it.
That's an interesting idea.
So that kind of plays with it as well. It's just kind of like, that like in this context, we exist as well.
Yeah, which it seems to be. I thought that's what they were implying because it showed both universes at the same time, and it wouldn't make sense.
Well, and they've certainly played with ideas like that in comic books before. I mean, when DC did Infinite Crisis, not to be confused with Crisis on Infinite Earths, the entire society of the monitors and the anti-monitors and all that were basically Grant Morrison's pastiche of the editors at DC Comics. So that's definitely an idea that's been explored before in comic books. So
the one above all looks like Jack Kirby.
Yeah, basically.
Straight up. Marvel's version of the God with a capital G.
So
yeah.
So Miss Minutes offers Loki and Loki, you can have whatever you want. And they're like, nah, dog, we're going to kill the dude. So Miss Minutes fucks off. And they continue through this weird mansion, the Citadel at the end of time, or whatever it's called.
It's Disney. It's Disney World Haunted Mansion.
Basically. And
Eddie Murphy's at the end.
They go through some doors to a room with an elevator, and the elevator opens, and we meet our big bad, Kang the Conqueror.
No.
He who conquers.
He who remains. So
Conquer, like the British game.
Like they call the Conquerors. Like
Kang, the dude that sits around.
Kang the Conqueror.
Kang the Apple Eater. So
I loved how they really dug into the eating an apple to make sure everyone knows you're a dick.
Yeah. Like Barbosa. They never explicitly call him Kang.
No.
Any point, and they also never explicitly call him Nathaniel Richards.
However, I feel like that can be inferred pretty hugely.
So this is what I thought about this as well, but also there's a few other YouTube videos and theories and stuff online about it. Not jump ahead too far, is that the version we see, and specifically when they reveal a bunch of the stuff about it, especially when he kind of explains who he is and what he did.
I'm pretty sure it's Immortus. Like, he's supposed to be Immortus.
He's a variant of Kang. He is a Kang rather than the Kang.
Yeah. They do an interesting thing here where so it's explained to us. First of all, I just fantastic acting.
Yes.
Dude had me hooked the entire time. Like,
it was so hammy, but I loved it.
Jonathan Majors was channeling some real Far Cry villain level energy.
Yeah.
It was definitely a guy who'd been trapped here for millions of years.
Yeah, he was clearly.
You kind of felt sympathetic for him, like, he's just so happy to have company.
Definitely, and the backstory he explains it is he's a scientist from the 31st century, which lines up with the Nathaniel Richards thing, and he discovered the multiverse. He discovered that there are multiple realities layered on top of each other. He then kind of forms his own like Council of Reeds almost. I felt like that was kind of a nod. And everything is super cool and everything's all chill, except for when you have infinite universes, at least one of you is going to grow up to be a dick. And so there are a couple of shitty versions of him that start trying to take over universes. And that is where the multiversal war that we were told about in the beginning of the series actually originates. And so this guy, who again is not given a proper name, basically forms the TVA to narrow down the timelines into one specific timeline, mainly just to keep his own douchey variants from taking over reality.
He's as he explained, he is the best possible. Like, he is he infers that he is the original, I think.
Yeah.
He infers that he's the guy who's like, I've been here to stop all this because
that's its own complicated situation, because it's like, what really is the original? Just because he's not, to him he's the original, but like to another universe he's the variant.
It's also the case of he makes it as if he's the, like, if he doesn't exist, then the whole thing's going to fall to chaos because at least one person's going to be bad out of it. That's not to say that he's going to be the only good one.
Because if he doesn't exist, the TVA doesn't exist, the timeline goes out of control. And I mean, really, it recontextualizes all this to where like everyone's a variant. Everything is a variant. There is no one true timeline. It's just this is the timeline that's been preserved so far.
So this is what I really, really enjoyed about this episode, is the fact that, as you said, it explains the fact that like everything that could happen, that has ever happened, every decision that's ever been made, there is an antithesis, there is an opposite, there is another decision that's made down the line that causes a split.
There's options.
There is options. There's
Yeah.
opportunity. And obviously we see that Loki as Loki, our Loki.
Loki and Sylvie.
Loki and Sylvie, because Loki and
Yeah.
Loki, but it's Loki and Sylvie. Because obviously, like, the thing is this guy can basically predict when, like, he knows what's going to happen to a certain point. And after that point, he's like, well, shit. It's up to you guys to make a decision.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You want to kill me?
He's leaving it in the hands of chaos.
Exactly.
That's a nice bit of storytelling there.
Exactly. And with that, obviously, we see that Loki, when he is trying to be a reasonable human being and not be sneaky or anything like that, ends up getting his arse kicked by his variant who doesn't believe him because he's Loki.
Because despite all the character development we've gotten, what we kind of see is Loki has grown and changed. Sylvie has not.
Like Loki's fully telling the truth.
They are kind of in opposite places of where they were in the beginning of the series.
Yeah.
Where now Loki is kind of the sympathetic one who's trying to do the right thing, and Sylvie is the one who's like, nah, burn it all.
Is it? As I say, it's options, and they're two different variants.
Yeah,
two different histories.
Well, I like the mirror of Loki can't be trusted and Sylvie can't trust.
Yeah, there's so much good like
do
little bits of dialogue that have so much like poetry to them.
Right.
This whole idea of like if chaos is going to happen and it's you need someone to control it, who better than the Loki who controls chaos?
The mischief, the god
Which,
of
mischief. This leads to a little squabble over whether or not they should kill He Who Remains. Which leads to a little swashbuckling sword fight. Which Loki gets his ass kicked, and then they smooch, which I have problems with.
Me and Bethany were watching it, and we looked at each other, and it was like
that was the only part of the finale. I was kind of like,
I don't know how I feel about this.
It was Kang in the back, kind of like he kind of edged his seat forward and had like a big grin in his face as if
he was stoked. He loved it. He was like, "Take your clothes off."
Yay!
back that ass up.
Right.
Oh, so this is the other thing with him. He's a liar as well, Kang. He makes a whole big spiel about several times throughout the episode. Sylvie tries to kill him just immediately in the elevator while they're sitting at the desk, and Kang knows what's happening. He can tell the future. He knows what's going to happen until he doesn't. Until a point where the timeline splits into a specific threshold, it breaks through the barrier, and now he has no idea what's going to happen. And like you can see it in his face, like he totally changes. Like, okay, I've kind of talked a big game now, and
he no longer has a script.
Yeah, it's so interesting now.
Obviously, we see Sylvie beats out Loki and kicks him, kisses, and then in that moment of dazed confusion, Loki gets kicked through a
back
portal,
to the TVA.
To a TVA.
We'll get back. Yeah. We'll get there. Sylvie does a little bit more philosophizing with Immortus, He Remains, and then stabs him in the fucking chest.
Who has a big grin on his face and says,
what's his last line? I forgot what it was.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah. And you're like, oh my god, this guy
was
knows
goosebumps.
You were like,
the portal's open now.
That was spine tingling.
And the fact it's almost immediate
from
the time that Loki travels through a portal, like in that 30-second minute period,
everything changes.
Which
let's switch gears.
Period. Yeah.
Let's switch gears because there's a B plot going on here, and that is Mobius gets back to the TVA.
Yeah.
After escaping from the void and confronts Renslayer, who is packing up her shit and leaving. Now, in the comics, worth noting, Renslayer is the wife of Kang the Conqueror. So there are some places we can go with this.
So there's a thing as well that Miss Minute says is that I think Renslayer's looking for a bunch of stuff like about the TVA, about the creation of the TVA.
And stuff, yeah.
And then she gets given another file that we actually don't see what it is, but she's like, "This isn't what I asked for."
Yeah, but it's better than what you asked for. Yeah,
it's what you need. It's what better than what you asked for. And I've heard theories that that's apparently a location to young Kang.
Ooh.
Yeah, that could be.
Are we gonna have a Don Cheadle like find baby Thanos and
maybe?
No, I've heard actually the opposite. I've heard that it's she's the one who puts him onto
No, she
everything.
creates an even worse TVA with her fanaticism. That would be interesting.
with her version of canon.
So with that,
Um,
we have the kind of main security guard that's her name is
B13,
B13, yeah,
B15.
whatever.
B15.
The point is,
BB8 comes out.
yeah. So Mobius confronts her, and she's like, "Well, I'm gonna call my fucking guards." And Mobius
Let's
is
do this
like,
again, yeah.
"You guess again, because we've already exposed your shit." And it turns out BB8 lured a bunch of has been luring the timekeepers, or not the timekeepers, but the timekeeper agents around 2018.
The Minutemen, I believe they're called, right?
Yes, wherein that's funny. I just realized that.
Yeah.
Wherein they are exposed to Renslayer's original version, or perhaps a
Mhm.
variant of her in the
It's a variant.
timeline. Who
that
knows?
damn pen.
Either way, it proves that she was not made by the TVA, which breaks everyone's brains, and now no one is on her side. And we don't really see how that resolves, because we go back to the Lokis and all that other shit happens, and then we think,
we get one line that's when they say "for all time."
yes,
Mhm.
always.
I think that's the last "for all time always" is the last time we see that pair.
Yes,
of-
because when Loki is kicked back to the TVA, for a minute there, we think, oh, he's gonna go find Mobius and Beef, and they're gonna start their own, grand adventure of finishing the fight or whatever. Halo, blah blah. Well, he does find them, and they are very confused. I think the first thing you notice is Mobius looks significantly more put together. He doesn't look like he's just been running around a time void, for one.
And B15 still has a bunch of her shit on her, right? Like, it
Yep.
looks like she's...
They both are talking about the split timeline. So when Sylvie stabbed Immortus, the one singular timeline floating around the void started to split and crack into multiple timelines until suddenly there's just a bunch of cosmic gobbledygook all around. Pretty much immediately, we just have infinite timelines sprouting out, like instantaneously. And they're wondering what to do about it. And they mentioned he, like, what does he want us to do? And Loki's like, hey guys, and they're like, who are you? Are you an analyst?
You're an analyst. Slow down. What are you saying?
So that's an interesting thing, is they didn't even recognize he's a Loki. And then Loki looks out the window, and there's no longer a statue
of Mickey Mouse.
of Mickey Mouse or the Timekeepers. There is only Kang. And you can tell it's him. He is wearing his comic book costume on that stat. He doesn't have the dumb thing over his head. Though his hair kind of emulates that shape.
Mhm.
And he doesn't have the lines going down his face, though we'll see. Maybe that's just color on his face. We don't know what he'll actually look like.
Could be.
I'll be honest. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god, that's how they're going to end it." I was like, "Oh, but like, 'cause I thought it was going to be a full series finish."
Mm-hmm. Well,
and
unlike Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision, which were one and dones, we find out there is no mid-credits scene per se, but there is a mid-credits reveal. Loki will return for season 2, which, a little bit of news.
That stamp was canon as well. Someone in the world, in that universe, went, "Yeah, I've got this big season 2 stamp. Let's put that on there."
Yes,
it's the writers. I'm telling you, they're the timekeepers.
The showrunner of this, the lady, I forget her name.
She won't be coming back, will she?
She will not be coming back for season.
What's her name?
I was going to say Kathleen
Kate
Kennedy.
Herron?
That sounds about right. I was going to say Kathleen Kennedy, but she was with the Star Wars.
No, that's Star Wars. Don't get
Kate
people,
Herron,
get people started on that. Kate Herron will not be coming back for season 2, so we'll see where that goes. I am fucking stoked.
Oh man, so fucking good! Like, I watched that when it first came out. I actually had to get, because I was at work at like 10 a.m. I had to sit down at 8 a.m. when it came out in the UK and sit and watched it. I was like, oh my god. Like, it's the way to fucking start off my day. Like, my brain was frazzled.
The existential dread at work.
The existential dread was so... no, but it was
on the flip side, I watched it at like 1 in the morning.
1 in the morning,
when I woke up, I couldn't go back to sleep, and I realized that it was up, and I was like, all right, let's do this.
Watch it, right? Oh man, but yeah, it's just, the implications are so wide, so massive, and now we know that every single film that is taking place after it could be set in a different...
Yeah. We've got... We've got 3 big ones coming up. We've got the Multiverse of Madness. We've got No Way Home, and we've got Quantumania, where Kang will officially make his debut. Quantumania, though, that's not until what, like 2023 or something?
2022, later half of 2022. But when they say that, they say Kang will make his appearance.
Right.
And this is what I cannot stress enough, is that they're saying Kang. They're not saying Nathaniel. Like, this is the issue. This the thing is, they can write him into any film basically now, because it could be, oh, it's not Kang, it's Nathaniel Richards. Oh, it's not Kang,
it's Rama Tut.
Rama Tut. Like,
it's Immortus.
It's Immortus. It's Iron Lad. It's spoilers of that.
It's Kid Immortus or whatever.
Kid Immortus. It's
Kid Kang.
Yeah, it's whatever version of Kang. Yeah, Liu Kang.
One thing I also wanted to say about the Loki finale, and I went back through the whole season just to kind of find any of these other subtleties as well. And I've put an article about it on the website, and a first glimpse of the season finale. Are you guys familiar with Japanese art of kintsugi?
No.
Please
tell us.
It's a Japanese art style that's basically the restoration and repairing of pottery by essentially filling in cracks with gold.
Oh.
And with that, as with a lot of Japanese stuff as well, there comes a kind of philosophical and spiritual side to that, where the kind of, to put it onto a human, would mean to mend yourself and like spiritually better yourself, become like, or just fix yourself, become a better version of you. And you can see that in the entire castle. That entire castle is kintsugi.
Even his tempad as well.
The tempad as well. It's a little wee kintsugi thing. You'll see it a lot. It's just like a lot of it is, you'll find like a black pot, and laced throughout it is just giant cracks of gold, and it's to kind of symbolize a uniqueness to it, or like battered history. You could see it in, like, to put it on a human, it'd be like the battle scars on a human, or like a warrior. Or in this case, is what I said as well. There's one of the last shots before we leave the castle is it pans into the now broken universe outside of the kintsugi within the castle. So I can see this whole broken timeline. I think that's another sign of kintsugi.
Now, to completely oppose that interpretation, I read in an interview that basically the Citadel is actually carved out of that meteor that they're on, and it just has wacky fucking veins through it. But who knows?
Or it could be kintsugi. Yeah, kintsugi meteor. Yeah. Thanks for illustrating my point.
Yeah, but
the other thing,
either way,
the other thing this blows wide open is with the opening of a multiverse and all of that, like, MCU movies could now go on forever, because recasting no longer has to even be thought about explaining.
Because we just say, oh, it's on Earth 1660, or it's on Earth 2118. Or...
You could have someone new come in as Iron Man, and it's like, oh, it's just Tony Stark from a different universe. This is Steve Rogers from a different universe. This is Peter Parker from a different universe.
Do you think they're going to get to the point, though, where it'll be like, oh no, we have to kind of unify it back to one because it's getting too confusing with what's happening, and we end up getting like a crisis.
Oh, so you mean
Secret Wars?
Do you think they're going to Crisis on Infinite Earths this shit at some point,
or Secret Wars, or like any of those kind of
maybe
converging? Secret Wars.
That's the beauty of it. If they run into a situation where it becomes too convoluted and confusing, they can make a series or a film that brings it all back together.
Yeah,
like an actual Secret Wars series.
And of course, we've got the What If show coming up pretty soon,
which now makes sense canonically, and also apparently there's going to be a multiversal version. I think I said it. I don't know if I said it last week, but there's apparently been a multiversal version of the Avengers now being confirmed.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I think more and more this is pointing towards. I feel like there's no doubt at this point that we're going to see multiple Spider-Mans in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Is that coming out later this year? December? Oh.
Yes, and
Eternals is out at some point.
I think we are going, if I had to guess, because there's not much time left, there's only a few months, I think we're going to get a No Way Home trailer soon. I think they were saving it for the introduction of the multiverse.
Could you imagine if Kang is the villain in fucking No Way Home? Could you imagine that's it? Like, it's like,
it would be fun. Yeah,
Kang is the villain in every single one.
Mm-hmm.
Like just
Imagine it's just Kang's the villain in all these now.
Or if it was a
variants of
different Kang in every
it's a
single
different
one.
Kang in every
Yeah.
single one. Yeah,
We get the big bad isn't just Kang, it's Kangs.
Kang.
It's the Council of Kangs.
It's the Conquerors.
I mean, Fantastic Four is due out sometime in the next few years, which will probably lean heavier into the Kang stuff.
Mhm.
What I really want to see is I want to see Silver Surfer again. We've only got it once.
Yeah, I feel like at some
Yeah.
point we're gonna get, especially with the multiverse stuff and everything getting super, like we have to get Galactus at some point.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Whether he's going to be like a whole Marvel phase big bad like Thanos or Kang, maybe not. Maybe he's just a one-off villain in a movie. But
Part of me thought Alive was like some kind of variant of
nah, Alive is his
because of
own
the whole
thing.
cloud thing they did in
Yeah.
the other one.
Yeah,
It's some interpretation. But that means that technically now every single Marvel property is canon.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Yeah.
Fantastic Four, X-Men, and New Mutants as well as another one will also
Just
be
nuts.
canon.
Yeah.
everything matters. Deadpool is now in the MCU.
Oh
But-
yeah.
But
Did
yeah,
you
Oh,
guys?
that-
Did you
that should
guys
have been
see?
that should have been a news
yeah,
thing.
with
Yeah.
Korg,
That
yeah.
was nuts. Like that.
I don't know if that's official though. Like it might be. Do you think they have to?
Fun little thing.
I don't know. I'm treating it as official.
I
think
mean,
it's
they
just,
would have
like,
definitely had to ask Marvel and Disney to do that, right?
Oh
like,
yeah.
It's nuts that it's all because of Free Guy.
yeah,
I knew that film had bigger intentions.
exactly. It is part of the Marvel
The
universe.
catalyst. Free Guy's the catalyst.
It's the catalyst for everything.
Can't wait for that film.
But with obviously Loki season finale, we obviously got kind of three major news pieces, which is confirmed for season 2. Apparently, Tom Hiddleston will be featuring it in Multiverse of Madness with a bunch of other characters, including Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen, and also Miss Marvel America Chavez. America Chavez apparently as well. So.
Here's a question for you. Since Loki is busy dealing with the newly reformed Kang TVA, is it that Loki that we're going to see in Multiverse of Madness, or will it be Tom Hiddleston as a King Loki, perhaps?
I'm holding out for Alligator Loki.
Just Alligator Loki voice.
Yeah.
Well, why not? They had Chris Hemsworth voice Frog Thor.
Yeah, I heard about this. And they partly cut out a whole 2-minute bit where there was a fight scene.
Yeah,
Right.
but that's that yell of his. That's Chris Hemsworth.
Well, and also Alligator Loki and the classic universe Loki as well. Apparently, quite fun.
I would watch that.
Because you'd imagine like they'd get in a lot of these kind of more classic actors.
Yeah,
I'd love to see like Brendan Fraser to come into it. I know he's kind of DC right now. I'd love to see him come.
It would just be Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
Yeah,
there would be no other. There'd be no like.
But it would
other
be like
version.
the Silver Age Iron Man outfit where it looks like he's just wearing like gold
Halloween
spandex
costume
with a chest
Yeah.
piece. Captain America is just wearing tights. It's just Chris Evans in like a really crappy looking suit.
So assumably we've got in August we have What If. In October, November time, I believe we have Multiverse of Madness.
Wait, that soon?
It's
think
soon,
so.
man. It's coming.
December is Far From Home even, and September is Shang-Chi, and also Eternals I think is due out as well.
I think that's November.
Yeah, I think the latter half of this year is stuffed full of fucking Marvel
Can't wait
properties.
for Eternals.
Right?
No Way Home is the end of this year. Multiverse of Madness is March of next year, and
Really?
Quantumania is in fact 2023.
I thought Multiverse of Madness was closer than that.
Nah, man, we would have gotten a trailer by now.
True,
Yeah,
fair enough. Well, still, even then, we still got a fairly packed one even without Multiverse of Madness.
Oh yeah, we definitely still have
But Shang-Chi, Eternals, Far From Home, and also What If.
yeah,
Kind of cap off the year of Marvel.
which they've been very quiet about Eternals,
Yeah.
and allegedly there's a reason that they haven't said much about it.
which
And
is-
now I'm thinking, since it's following up Loki, there's that whole bit in the trailer where they're like, "We've never interfered until now." And I'm wondering if that is
We're talking
part of
about
all
Thanos.
this.
Yeah, I'm down for it. It's the one I'm most looking forward to.
They're
because
like-
of how different it could go.
The universe is broken, and now we have to step in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're the Eternals, so they
They would know, they've been there for a long
Yeah.
time.
So we'll see.
What I'm excited
Always.
for is different people from Ultimate Universes showing up as well.
That would be cool.
What if the Eternals are the original timeline?
Ultimate Captain America just being a dick to everyone.
Miles Morales.
I think that's definitely it. Well,
Yeah, on the
maybe. They already kind of hinted at the existence of Miles Morales in Homecoming way back when.
Yeah, they got Donald Glover to kind of like
To play the Prowler.
Yeah, I was like, but he's.
Yeah,
I
but
like
he's
the
like
Prowler,
40
but
now, so that's not going
I
to work.
know.
That's us
Can't wait
finished
for
with you.
Jaden Smith as Miles Morales.
Yeah. Oh God.
All right, we're done.
We're done. We're done with that. With that horrible image. We're done.
We'll be back next week with more comic book stuff. We'll talk about The Thing. Our voices will be heard.
We'll let you know where the rankings sit.
We will update you with the final rankings at the beginning of next week.
Mhm.
Also, check out the Facebook pages, all the groups and stuff like that. If we do
I was
any
gonna
more
do it.
if we have any polls and stuff related to any content that we're putting out on the podcast, it will be there.
Yeah.
Any things, any audience opinions want to be heard, you put them there.
Speaking of Miles Morales,
I like that you didn't even tell them what to look for. You didn't
No,
tell
because I was
them.
waiting for you to do that.
No, it's you took you.
do
took the
it.
reins.
Oh, okay. Have a look for BGCP Comic Con on Facebook. I think we're also at BGCP Comic Con on Twitter as well, and also Instagram. There's also BGCP comiccon.com, I believe, is the website URL. It might not be. It might be. Who knows?
Big,
But that is
big Glasgow comic page.com.
page. You can also put up BGCP because that's how I Google the site whenever I want to
Yeah.
put articles in.
If
It
you
works.
Google my name, I'm pretty sure that's the first thing that's going to come up.
if you Google my name, don't Google my name.
Don't Google my name.
Yeah, don't actually. I've been told that someone
Don't
looked up the
dox me.
podcast and like all my social media accounts were
Ah.
linked to it, and
That's how I found you.
Oh, that's disturbing. But yeah, no. Check out that for all the latest news, reviews, and interviews. Hopefully, they'll be coming
Ooh.
back soon. I believe
Synergy.
an inaugural podcast host and guest David Canna has one in the works, which will be out at some point soon. And yeah. That's all the stuff that we can have planned.
Mhm.
Several of the news items, as Ben said earlier on today, can be found on the
We'll link them there.
available to read.
That's the way the Loki crumbles.
Exactly. That's the way
Loki.
the Loki is the alligator.
I did it all for the Loki.
It's all for the Loki, baby.
You're going to Limp Bizkit references.
Loki.